What's going on, dudes and dudettes? Excuse the hair. Yeah, I'm looking like Darth Vader now with the sides and all that stuff. But yes, we'll get through this. So yes, USC is pretty much kind of in the running right now, along with Ohio State, for the Alabama X 5-star quarterback Julian Sayin, who actually is a Cali boy as well, but decided to go to Alabama last year. Thought it was his turn coming in, but I believe the new coach, Kalen DeBoer, brought one of his better prospects in Austin Mack to Alabama recently. So now he has jumped into the portal. Sayin has, and of course, like they said already, USC and Ohio State are there. USC, I guess, kind of makes sense as long as maybe J.D. Maiava ends up leaving. This could also be a type of thing just in case if Julian Juju Lewis in 2025 does not end up coming to USC officially, because he is taking like more a couple of visits. I think it's like Colorado and Georgia, some other team. So it's not surprising that he still is taking visits. He is still supposedly committed to USC. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does kind of, put it on notice as of for the coaches. So I guess they're doing their work, and maybe they can get this kid. And you might lose Maiava, as I said, and hopefully Lewis does come in, and if not, then you just have to go after someone else, and Julian Sayin will at least be there for 2 more years after Miller Moss or something like that, especially after this season. You never know. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Definitely will be looking through this and hoping for the best for USC moving forward. Then when it came to Cliff Kingsbury, yes, an ex-Arizona head coach and was offensive coordinator. Actually, he's more of like an offensive assistant this year, even though he was kind of talking quite a bit with the quarterbacks and some of the offensive coaches and stuff for USC. But he technically wasn't allowed to coach, I guess, because he didn't have that title. But he basically did pretty much. And it's obvious that they were listening to him sometimes, and it did work. But a lot of times this was just a bad overall season for USC. But he is all of a sudden going out and interviewing for the Chicago's offensive coordinator position, which isn't that surprising, just with the fact that they had the number 1 pick and they could be getting Caleb Williams, and it's obvious that they have a good relationship apparently, so could be following him to the NFL as well. Everybody kind of thought it was Lincoln Riley to do that, but they're keeping their head coach, Chicago is, which could be bad or good for their organization, but bring in an ex-USC coach here who's been here for a season, and then maybe getting their quarterback as well. It could be a pretty interesting altogether matchup and marriage, as they say in the NFL. So we'll see how that goes, but definitely looking forward to that. And then yes, Romello Height is a defensive end that transferred from Auburn a few years ago to USC, but he looks like he is now entering the transfer portal, which is a little bit interesting just because he kind of seemed like he would be at least in the rotation, maybe not starting, but at least in the rotation. But with all these new defensive coaches, especially on the defensive line, they might have told him, hey, you're probably a little bit farther down now, so might as well just go into the portal. And maybe that means that there might be somebody else committing somewhat soon, whether it's in the high school class or in the transfer portal as well, coming to USC. You never know. It's always a fluid situation with the portal, but yeah, this could be interesting to see what ends up happening. So good luck to Romello Height. He was sadly hurt a lot his first year. This year he did okay when he was healthy, but yeah, he's been pretty injury riddled during his college career. And then when it came to the new defensive line coaches offering a 2026 5-star player in Jakeem Stewart, I believe they did offer him the ex-coaches at USC, but now they just re-offered. I guess that's what coaches do. If there's a new coach at your position or at the school that did offer you, then I guess your offer doesn't count, which is kind of weird, even though it's an offer. But I guess they have officially reoffered this guy, and he's a few years down the road, but he is a 5-star player on that defensive line. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. And then USC did finally put up a post of their official defensive coaches. It's only pretty much 5, which is kind of interesting, but obviously you have DeAnton Lynn as the main defensive coordinator, then Eric Henderson, who was just recently hired as a co-DC and defensive lines coach. They're keeping Sean Nua, which is pretty cool from the old staff because he was probably one of the better guys to keep and he's going to be working with the defensive ends, I believe, at a specific position. Then Matt Entz is coming in as a linebackers coach, but also kind of like a co-DC, the way you heard. And then I think Doug Belk as well, but he was put in as co-DC. And I wonder if that's the case, because I know there's a lot of news about Jim Harbaugh maybe joining my other team in the LA Chargers, but that could also mean that he needs brand new people, and maybe he does not want to poach any coaches from Michigan because he doesn't want to leave them with nothing. So I'm pretty sure the guy who took over when he was suspended this year will probably take over there as a coach, at least for the meantime, because it is pretty late and a lot of other coaches have been hired. But maybe he needs a defensive coordinator or some defensive staff to fill out, so he might be poaching some of these guys from USC, which is why I think they're given that title to be able to maybe be poachable, which kind of sucks just because I hope not. But there's a guy on the coaching staff in Taylor Mays who does not have an official role yet, I don't believe, and I don't think he's officially on the head coaching stuff because they did not, or the defensive side, because they did not post him on there, but he is getting some looks from some other schools as well to become one of their main safeties coach. So maybe if Doug Belk ends up leaving for an NFL job, maybe a DeAnton Lynn, then you can kind of throw one of those guys up to where DeAnton's main DC coordinator was, and then bring in Taylor Mays to help out on the defensive side. You never know. It could work out, but yeah, I think at least Lincoln Riley is thinking ahead and planning for the better, and that's why, because he got a lot of great coaches with a lot of good names out there, especially, to get re-upped and hired. So we'll see. A 2025 safety Mekhi Jones did commit to Duke the other day, which is pretty cool. I believe that's how you say his name, Mekhi. But yeah, it looks like they're already getting started on 2025. So yeah, that's a good start right there, especially on the defensive side. And then the other day, a Princeton linebacker ended up transferring to Duke as well, and Ozzie Nicholas. And he's a pretty talented guy because according to PFF, he was an All-American for there on their FCS, which I think is Division II, whatever they call it now. Not FBS, which is Division I. But either way, he's still got a lot of recognition, so this is a pretty good guy to bring in. So hoping for the best for that linebacker position. And then when it came to some other stuff, yes, the Chargers did finally interview some more head coaching candidates in David Shaw, who is an ex-Stanford coach, but isn't coach anymore. He's more of like an analyst for the NFL Network. They also did interview Mike Vrabel, which is nice and interesting, so be able to have a guy in case Harbaugh ends up not coming. And then they also did do a GM in Jeff King, who I believe was from the Bears. So maybe he has a connection to Jim Harbaugh, like most of these GM candidates that they're going after. But yeah, nice, interesting look at some of these guys. And of course, there's always a weird thing they have to say that, yes, that the Chargers did finally pass the Rooney Rule, which is to at least interview in-person people of color. It's always a weird rule that was thrown in. So yeah, it's cool that you're getting the opportunities to other minorities and people, but then it's also like labeled that, yeah, you're only here because we have to fill out the quota so we don't get in trouble and all this weird crap. So it is like a catch-22, as they say. Yeah, overall, at least you get the opportunity, I guess. So we'll see how this goes. And apparently both the Lakers and the Hawks were almost close to making a trade involving DeJounte Murray coming to the Lakers, and they're sending away D'Angelo Russell, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and their 2029 first-round pick, apparently. But the talks kind of stopped, and I guess they will pick up the talks more towards the trade deadline in a couple of weeks. But that seemed pretty fair. I don't know what Atlanta's looking for, more picks or maybe another player instead of Hood-Schifino, but I don't know. I think the Lakers can make a pretty big trade, especially with Washington now, because I've always liked Tyus Jones, the ex-Duke guy, but they also did get the recent Duke guy we talked about, and Marvin Bagley III, which would be a pretty nice pickup to have the number 2 overall pick being traded to you as well. I just have to do the math and look at the fanspo to see how the trade works out, but I'll probably get that in the next video or so. So looking forward to that. And then yes, today or last night as you call it, Green Day released their new album Saviors. I sadly have not listened to it, but all the singles that I've heard leading up to this, the 3 or 4 that came out, I think have been pretty good. And I think that's just on the track listing, that's just like the first couple of songs on the CD. So hoping for a lot more good stuff towards the end. I saw a lot of reports out there and reviews that saying it is one of their better ones and a really good album. So definitely looking forward to listening to it fully pretty soon here while editing this video. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.